Hey everybody, this is Minion Soldier, and this is the Piracy Show. Now, on today's show, we are going to discuss the Reliant and the Reliant variants, which are coming up for sale very, very soon. At least according to CIG, they are. So, why is this important? Because the Reliant is kind of a newbie ship. I mean, it's really down there on the scale. Why does it matter? And the truth is, I mean, the Reliant, when you look at it, I mean, apart from the fact that the flavor text describes it as highly maneuverable, it does have a sizable cargo bay, which could realistically be repurposed to many other things. I mean, it offers the opportunity to really, there can be a combat variant, which would certainly not be unheard of. I mean, even if you look at the manufacturer who makes the ship, Misk, their originally their entry level hauler, the Freelancer, before the Hull A came along, um, had a combat variant in the Freelancer Miss. There was also the Freelancer Max, yada yada yada, and the exploration version, which all could once again come to life in the Reliant. And so there's a lot of interesting possibilities with this ship. I mean, the fact that it's fitted with up to a size 3 tractor beam, I believe, on one of its hard points. It's got, even on the base version, it's got a decent array of hard points on it. And, I mean, it offers a lot of potential. I mean, especially if there is a combat variant. Now, why does it matter overall? Like, what's so significant about that? Well, if you read a lot of the forums these days, if you look at a lot of things that people are saying, certainly people who own larger ships, they're buying game packages and they're buying reasonably priced fighters, base Hornets, Gladiuses, Mustang Deltas, things of that nature, and they're using them as wingmen. They're basically using that game package to create a high level NPC, or a high skilled NPC, as has been described by CIG. They've said that you can do this, and then they're buying a reasonably priced fighter and putting that person in it to act as their wingman, to protect their hauler, to protect their science ship, whatever. A lot of people do this. Now, with the variants for the Reliant, the possibility exists that once again these variants could come with LTI, so think about that. Now all of a sudden your wingman would come with a ship with LTI, meaning as long as you flew the ship around in its base configuration, whatever that configuration is, even if you lost the ship, which frankly NPCs are probably more likely to do than humans, even though, well, some humans, you would never have to worry about having to fully replace that vessel. And the base cost of that experience, whether it's, insignificant or something that could fairly impact your bottom line, that base cost would be nullified by the lifetime insurance. So maybe you're thinking, why is that important? For you, you've got a fighter, you've got a vanguard, you've got a herald, you've got whatever. Why does this matter to you? Because you don't have an Idris, you don't have a reclaimer. Why do you care? And the truth is, like, even if you have a saber, a tactic like this, for the good or for the worst of the game, is actually something that you might want to consider. Because think about it from the point of view of a Vanguard Sentinel. What's a Vanguard Sentinel for? It's for electronic warfare. And I'll use myself as an example here. Now let's say I'm flying around in my Vanguard Sentinel. I've got a live body in the jump seat who's running the E-War. And I've also got, let's say I take my glaive, I melt my glaive, and I go out and I buy 7 Aurora Legionnaire packages, which is of course the ship you see spinning up on the screen. Say I buy 7 of them. Now I can fly around in that Sentinel, and let's say I see an enemy before they see me. I can, say, attack my target to all 7 of those fighters, send them right in, And then my buddy sitting in the jump seat can go and just wreak absolute havoc with the electronic warfare on my enemy. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that only my Vanguard Sentinel can find use for it. Even my standard Vanguard, because like I have Sentinel upgrade kits, but I have my Vanguard is still the Warden. I could sick those 7 fighters onto somebody, basically exactly like a pack of dogs, hounds to the hunter. I can just sick those dogs onto somebody and then wait for my opportunity to line them up real good with that big size 5 Gatling gun or whatever I decide to put on the nose of it, and then just come in and make my pass with that huge gun and all those nose cannons and just tear them up. And it's something that would be perfect because it's the one complication that you always think about when you're thinking about the Vanguard. How maneuverable will it be? How fast will it be? How are you going to make your opportunities to hit somebody with that big gun? Here's a way that you can do it. Now, it applies to so many other ships. I mean, the Saber, which is the hot topic right now. So many people are discussing it, and you see a lot of theory crafting on the forums. And the tried and true die-hard Hornet pilots, there's been a couple I've seen putting up comments like, I don't care, I've got all kinds of firepower, I'd take that thing out. But think about it. What if I'm flying around, say, in my Saber? So I'm already more or less, very difficult to spot, but I've also got all these little fighters with me. I can send those fighters to attack my target while my target isn't even aware of where I am. I can use that to line up an opportunity to attack that target when they're at their most vulnerable, and I will also have the freedom to break away and line up another attack, because if that person all of a sudden goes in a straight line and starts chasing after me, they're going to get smoked by the Auroras. Now, think about this in your own situation. I mean, think about this. Let's say you're flying a Hornet Ghost. Let's say you're kind of going with my little Frankenstein Hornet theory when I was talking about putting the radar from the Hornet tracker on the Hornet Ghost, which if you read the brochure for the Hornet, you can actually do. And I mean, you can switch that radar into passive mode so it doesn't emit; it only receives signals. So you'd have an easy time kind of spotting, or an easier time spotting targets than you would in a standard Hornet Ghost. But you could unleash little fighters like this onto somebody. And when you think about, once again, we're going back to the Reliant, the possibility of a combat variant. I mean, there's a pretty strong chance that these things are going to be sold with LTI. I mean, everyone tries to break down the logic of why and why not sell something with LTI, and then CIG always kind of finds a loophole to kind of get around to put LTI on something these days. I mean, Retaliator base. And the truth is, because, and God bless them, LTI sells ships. LTI sells ships, and everybody knows it. And so, I mean, you want to raise money, you put LTI on it, and it sells. And if there is a combat version that you can get with LTI, there you could have 1, possibly 2 wingmen, get a couple of game packages to create the high-level NPCs to put in it. Now, think about the Reliant, though. It's a 2-seater. So technically, you would need, I guess, possibly 4, depending on how that ship is configured for combat. But it really does open up a lot of possibilities, and a lot of people are thinking along these lines, And now, the downside is, is this something that we really want in the game? People kind of floating around, throwing squadrons of mindless NPCs at one another to, as a way to kind of preserve their ship, because once again, your ship is kind of technically, in the digital world at least, a real asset. You can actually lose it. You might have to wait a little while for insurance to replace it. But the other side of that is, this kind of would help safe your asset with disposable ships and disposable assets. So it's certainly something to think about. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and thanks for watching.